we're friends now. She was going to introduce me, but we don't need to do that. You all know who I am. And I don't know if you know my background now. I've been in the call center industry. It's going on 40 years. 40, so I've dated myself. Hi, good evening. And I started out as a telemarketer. I was actually studying to be a nurse, and then I went to school for nursing, and then, you know, I had to work in a hospital with real patients. And I realized soon I could not be in nursing because I would faint at the sight of blood. Or one time I was holding a lady, I was working in geriatrics. It was at a Catholic hospital, and the nurse was pouring on hydrogen peroxide on her bed sores, and it fizzled, you know, it fizzled and went up my nose, and I dropped the patient on the bed, and I fainted. So whenever the patient was in pain, I'd feel pain. And so as a mother of 3, my kids, I could never change their Band-Aids, I could never see their cuts or anything like that because it would make me literally ill. So I had to find another profession and didn't have any other education but nursing. And so I got this telemarketing job just because I wanted to work. Didn't have to work, but I wanted to work. And soon after 3 months, 4 months of doing that, they promoted me to call center manager. And then from call center manager, I went into field sales, so I learned how to sell. I was their top salesperson for the entire organization in the entire United States for this organization. So it was kind of like a natural thing for me. Some people are natural-born salespeople, they say, and I do believe that. I was kind of a natural-born salesperson. But I try to figure out what makes me a good salesperson, and really what makes me a good salesperson is I love people. And if you don't like people, you shouldn't be in the business. You have to love people, and you have to get along well with people, and really have a positive attitude. But also what I found out what makes me successful is I love to talk. And so I can carry on a conversation. I'm not shy. I speak really loud. As you can see, I don't even need this microphone. I just love to talk. They used to call me Chatty Cathy. There was a doll named after me. Have you ever heard of the name Chatty Cathy? Actually, there's a doll named, no, it wasn't named after me, but they called me Chatty Cathy because I always liked to talk. I would go up to strangers when I was like 5, 6 years old and shake their hand. Hi, my name is Kathy. What's your name? You know, so I was just not afraid of people. And so you can't be shy, you can't be timid. When you're on the phone, you have to be a very confident person. Now, if you're not a confident person, you can fake it until you make it. Okay, so you can pretend to be confident, just be actors, just be actresses, and just at that time be a confident person, and then you can be a shy person when you're not on the phone. So really, a good phone person also can be a really good actor, really good actress. And if you present well, then you're going to generate a lot more productivity. For me, I have about an 80% close ratio. And I've kept that, it's really closer to 100%, but I don't want to say that because I don't want to brag. But I'm at least 80% to 100% close ratio. And pretty much anybody that I talk to, clients that I talk to, I sell all my own accounts because I'm really good at it. And I feel I'm the best person who can sell my company. I've tried other people to try to sell on my behalf, and they just can't do as well as I can. And so I sell all my own clients. And I used to sell face-to-face. When I lived in the San Francisco Bay Area, it was really a melting pot of all kinds of businesses. I sold Apple, I sold IBM as a client, I sold Memorex, they were there as a client, Pepsi-Cola, Coca-Cola, 7-Up bottling company. I had no problem selling to clients, Citicorp Bank. But those clients I met face-to-face. I moved out of the San Francisco Bay Area to the Fresno area, which is in the middle of California. It's about a 3-hour drive from San Francisco and a 4-hour drive north of LA. And so I would travel back and forth to LA to San Francisco, and it was just really silly for me to do that because it would take all those hours to drive, and I'd have to get hotels. And I thought, I'm teaching agents how to sell on the phone. Why don't I sell my services on the phone? It was kind of unheard of at that time. And this was way back in 1990. And so I said, well, I'm just going to cold turkey. I stopped seeing clients and I just sold directly over the phone. And so that's what I do. I sell $50,000, $100,000, $500,000 accounts right over the phone. And so if I could sell something like that, and I use the techniques that I've created my own platform. It's called 12 Steps to Successful Telemarketing. And I'm going to share that platform, part of it with you, not the whole thing, but I'm going to share as much as I can with you because we only have 3 hours. And it's really a whole week class. A lot of this is that I'm going to share with you, I'm putting on an e-learning platform with my voice, and I'm going to record it. And so you'll have an opportunity to actually take my course on the e-learning. But what you're about to learn tonight, companies have paid $450 an hour for me to come out and train this. So, you know, for one day, I give them a discount of $4,500 a day. So you're getting it at no cost. I'm making an investment in you because I really believe that you guys can do really well at this and do superbly well if you would use the techniques that I'm about to share with you. These techniques I've created, and if you follow it, you'll do fine. But you know, you can have a really great script, but if you don't know how to present it well, that's another avenue that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the scripting and the platform and why it's written the way it is and why we have certain words in there that we want you to use, such as I appreciate you taking my call, or why don't I call you back in about an hour, would that be all right with you? We have certain statements, certain things within the script that you must use. If you don't use it, you're not going to be as successful. And as we get into that, you'll understand why. But then the second area is we've got to be able to present it well. You know, because you can have a great script, but if you don't deliver the message well, then what's the point? We don't have time, but I wanted to share a clip. If we do have time, maybe during the break I'll put it on. But there's this little girl, she was 11 years old. And I watched her today on my Facebook, and she's speaking in Arab, right? From Iran, they speak in what language? Farsi or whatever, Iranian. She's Iranian, and she's 11 years old, and she escaped her parents because her mother was selling her to a man that was 40 years old to marry her at 11 years old. And she goes into this interview, and it's in her language, but it has the subtitles down below. Have you seen that interview? Oh my God, it was just so heartwarming. But what this girl is going to be something when she gets older, because at 11 years old, she had passion in her voice. She had conviction in her voice. And she made you believe every single word she said and hang on to every word she said. And she was only 11 years old. So she delivered a message very well, to the point that it kept me captivated. Usually I don't have patience to listen to stuff or read stuff for very long, because if it doesn't catch me right away, I just delete it and go on to the next. But she captivated me so well that I watched the entire interview, reading it, and reading it, because I don't like to have subtitles. I mean, I don't like to watch movies with subtitles, because then I can't watch the movie because I'm too busy reading the subtitles. But she had me, she grabbed me. And that's what you need to do. You've got to grab the person that you're talking with. They've got to believe what you say. And if you don't believe it, they're not going to believe it. So you got to believe in what you're selling. You've got to be sold on what you're selling, because if you're not sold on what you're selling, you're not going to be able to bring that across to the person that you're speaking with. Now, when I was doing face-to-face sales, it was pretty close to 100% close rate. Just about every person, there's no such thing as 100%, but I was really, really, really close. And but then as I got on the phone and started selling, my close rate dropped. It dropped to about 60 to 70%. And I was really disappointed about it, because, I'm one of those, I just want to be the best at what I can be. I just want to be a woman of excellence. And I was really disappointed, but then I thought, well, wait a minute. I can only see 4 people a day, face to face. Maybe 5 if I'm really pushing it. But on the phone, I can talk to 7 to 10 people an hour, right? When you're talking to businesses. When you're talking to consumers, you can talk to a lot more people than that. So I thought, well, I don't care if I only have a 60 to 70% close ratio because I'm talking to a lot more people in a shorter period of time. So I would end up with more sales because I had more people to be able to convey my message to. So one of the things that we want to do, that I want to share with you is so that you understand your market share. It's called my 10-10-80 rule. 10% of the prospects that you will encounter on the phone say no to everything. I can't sell them. You can't sell them. They just say no to everything. And you have to be able to identify that no person very early on, because oftentimes agents waste too much time on the phone talking to the wrong person. So I'm going to show you, do you guys remember in your script called the easy close? Have you seen that in your script on the EMI account, the easy close? If you haven't been reading all your scripts. The easy close, Michelle's like, oh, the easy close is when someone says I'm not interested prematurely and they don't even know who you are, they don't even know what your offer is. You know that prospect. You go right, you go right into the beginning of just to introduce yourself, right? And they say, oh no, I'm not interested. And the only reason why they say, oh, I'm not interested is because they know you're somebody they don't know. They know that you're probably trying to sell them something. So they put this big old wall up and this guard and say, I'm not interested. Don't even bother to sell me. Well, some of those people that say no up front, they're afraid to say yes because they know they don't want to go in through the rest of your presentation because they usually say yes to everything. So you have to be careful that the person who says no prematurely is not necessarily 10% that say no to everything. You might say no up front because they've said yes too many times. Alright, so you do want to talk to that person because they do say yes. But the no person that is, even if I was the President of the United States or President of Philippines, they would not want to talk to me. They're going to shut me down. So the easy close helps you identify that no person. And we'll get into the easy close in a little bit, but keep that in mind. The easy close, you must learn the easy close if you don't know it. And there's 3 golden words in the easy close. Does anybody know what those 3 golden words are in the easy close that you first say before you go to the rest of the easy close? It's called diffusing mechanism. It's called I respect that. Do you remember hearing that in your script? That's part of the easy close. If somebody says, no, I'm not interested, the first thing you say is, I respect that. All you're doing is you're trying to break a wall down, and you're trying to, diffuse the prospect a little bit. When you say, I respect that, they've never heard that before. When a prospect says, I'm not interested prematurely, what does an agent have a tendency to do? Anybody? Can anybody tell me what an agent has a tendency to do? Even if you tell me, I won't blame you if you do that. You can pretend it's somebody else who does it. What does an agent have a tendency to do when someone says, I'm not interested very early on in the presentation? Anybody? They say, okay, thank you, and they hang up, right? That's one. The other one is they try to sell the prospect. They try to sell them, and you're selling them too prematurely. You're never going to sell the prospect in the first 20 seconds of your presentation. Now, there's ways that you can use approach and hook statements that will arouse curiosity so that you get their attention for further along in your presentation, and that's what the easy close is all about. So we'll get to that later. So 10% that say no, we're going to identify them using the easy close. Then you have the prospects who say yes to everything. Well, there's 2 kinds of yeses. They're in the market. You call them at the right time. They're looking to compare their credit card processing provider. So you're going to get the ones that are in the market. That's called the numbers game. You have the agent calling all day long, and then they're bound to get one good prospect that's in the market. Okay, and that's called the numbers game. We don't want to build our presentation around the 10% yes people. We really want to build our presentation around the 80% maybe people. Maybe. Those are the people that you want to attract. So the 10% yes, if the other part of the yes is an unreliable yes because they don't know how to say no. They just say yes all the time. They don't know how to say no. They're afraid to say no. And then those are the ones that